Calvary takes care of patients and, importantly, their families at the end of their life, usually due to a serious end-stage disease. And we do so in the 200-bed acute hospital in the Bronx, a 25-bed acute unit in the Langone NYU facility in Brooklyn, and a very large home hospice program in New York, all 5 boroughs, Nassau, Suffolk, and other adjacent counties. So we have the flexibility, even if we start at home hospice, we have the availability of the institution for the patient so they don't have to go to an emergency room. And likewise, if someone's in an acute bed and stabilizes, they can go home and be treated in their homes.
But we also felt that we needed inpatient hospice for patients who have requirements that are a little less than the inpatient acute care. And 2 areas which we have been successful in providing at first is Mary Manning Walsh, which has 18 beds, and we have also provided suites in Ozanam in Queens. The major issue in palliative care is emotional suffering, the departure, the final farewells. Any good doctor at Calvary, after years of training, can take care of the physical aspects. It's what you have in your heart is they enabled you to take care of the emotional aspect. You have to bring that to the bedside, and that is the wonderful part of Calvary. And we have to take care of the families, and we have to take care of bereavement because grief is unbearable.
I remember how much Mom loved music, particularly playing the piano. She was a very good pianist and would play for us when we were kids, play with us on parties. I took piano lessons, as did you. I never kept it up, but Jim, you picked it up when you were in college or young adult, and now you're the new mom. You're the great pianist at all the family parties.
I prefer to be called the new Uncle John.
Okay.
My mom was Mary Houlihan. Most of her friends called her May, that's what she called herself. And she died in the past year in February when she was 90 years old. Both my mom and dad, they lived in the same neighborhood across the street from each other, so they knew each other casually when they were growing up.
She was the young kid who was 4 years younger than my father, so they knew who each other were, but when he got back from fighting in the South Pacific for 3 years, they dated and they got married in 1951.
We grew up in the Bronx, tight-knit family. There were 6, 2 younger ones, Tom and Pat. And then at the top of the chain are myself and my brother Jack and Bill and my sister Mary.
We were a traditional family in the sense of those days with a dad who worked full-time and a mom who primarily worked in the home as a caregiver. Education was a big memory because both my mom and dad were very well educated for the time. They both had gone to college and also had gone to graduate school.
My mother was the ultimate perfectionist. She was the valedictorian of her high school at Mount St. Vincent. She got a master's after college and was working as a social worker, but then got married, and in those days you didn't work and raise a family. When she was 56 years of age, and pretty much at that point, she decided that she wanted to go back and get a PhD. So while doing volunteer work at Sloan Kettering and Calvary, my mother went to Fordham University at Lincoln Center and ended up getting a PhD in social work.
Her thesis was about in-home care, health for the elderly, which was a strong hint for us that she didn't want to be put in a home. So she did volunteer work at Calvary. She was a Eucharistic minister. She did work at Mary Manning Walsh Home in Manhattan until, age caught up to her.
My mom came to be at Calvary in the last weeks of her life. She eventually had a stroke January of this past year, and at that time the doctors who caring for her said it's now time for her to be in hospice care because she only has a limited amount of time.
No one likes to see a loved one die, but when someone's lived a full life and they're in a lot of pain and not going to improve, then passing on is not such a horrific thing.
She was a caregiver of one kind or another all throughout her life. It was very important to her that the people she interacted with thought that they were getting humanistic care as well as top-notch care, and so she would have felt very, very good about the overall Calvary experience.
My mother felt there was a certain calm there. There was a calmness about the place, and her philosophy was that, basically every human being is special. Everyone deserves to be taken care of until the moment they leave this earth. So she said, if you're going into hospice, if you're dying of cancer, go to Calvary. And she said that to everybody, bar none, bar none.
When I am in Calvary, I really feel like it's a holy place. I think it means a lot for the patients. I think it also means a lot for the families to know that when this is the final place, that if you're in Calvary, you're going to be treated in a very special way, extra special love and care.
We know that after the death of the loved one, things aren't just okay, so we've developed a huge bereavement program. It's pretty sophisticated, essentially stratified based on if you lost a spouse, if you lost a child. And it was so successful, we now opened it to the communities. And this is another area where our benefactors, our friends have helped us. We are now changing our entire internal computer system that will bring us to the next level of safety and interoperability that we should have. We have opened a Shabbos lounge, trying in every way to be there for people in ways that make them, their culture, what they come to us with, feel comfortable. There are multitude of families and friends that come back to the hospital and actually say, how can I help you? Can I volunteer? Can I help you raise money? And the answer to all of that from us is yes, please, we do need you. The money and the resources you give to this hospital go directly into the next patient and family who need them.
It really comes down to the culture of Calvary Hospital. When we enter a room, we must be a presence, we must touch, we must hold, and we must tell our patients that we love them. Love is the reason that Calvary Hospital has existed for 120 years, why it perseveres, and I hope that lives in perpetuity.
For nearly 120 years, Calvary Hospital has cared for adult patients at the end of life. Many may have had advanced cancer, but everybody, all of them, are facing life's final journey. Calvary's priorities are so evident: compassion, respect for the dignity of every individual, and non-abandonment of patients and families. Why, those priorities are as strong today as the day the hospital was founded 12 decades ago. Calvary welcomes patients of all faith traditions with outstretched arms of love, like Jesus on the cross on Calvary. They provide all patients with tender, loving care every single day. Take it from me, I go to Calvary a lot. I visit patients there, and there's no place in the world quite like Calvary Hospital. So I'm honored in joining you in saluting this magnificent place. May God continue to bless you. May God bless our beloved Calvary Hospital and the people who are there. Thank you for your support.